Yo, what's going on, guys? How is everyone doing? Today, I'll be breaking down the 4-game NBA slate on DraftKings for Thursday night. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Hart. I do daily slate breakdowns for the NBA and NFL, where I talk through my favorite spin-up plays, mid-range options, and value plays, as well as building a mock lineup with some of my favorite plays, some core plays for tomorrow. Obviously, that changes with injury news, but we'll do that. And yeah, let's get into the slate breakdown. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Do appreciate everyone who hits that like button. It really helps out my channel. Make sure to check out my free Patreon link down below for more core plays. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the slate breakdown. Before I get into this slate breakdown, just want to review my lineup from tonight. I'm going to win my money back 1.5x. I just entered one lineup into the 15K to first, 100K 4-point play tournament. Went with Brunson, got 55. LeVert got 39. Troy Brown got 10. He got hurt. Ben Simmons 25. Wendell 35. Van Fleet 65, PJ 26, and then CJ 42. The core plays were Brunson 55. Obviously, that was great. If you guys check out my Twitter at HeartDFS, you can stay updated with my core plays. I have slate write-ups for the NBA. My core four for tonight was Brunson, Troy Brown, Wendell, and CJ. Unfortunately, some blowouts really kind of hurt the core plays. Obviously, Brunson was fantastic. Wasn't expecting that high of ownership, but yeah, he was great. LeVert was solid. Troy Brown got hurt to start the third half. He was on pace to get like 20 fantasy points, which obviously would have been fine at 3,900. So that's super frustrating. That's my third NBA injury in a row. 3 nights in a row I've had my lineup get an injury, which is super frustrating. I've averaged over an injury per lineup, whether it's NBA or NFL, for the past month. An injury per lineup. 3 nights in a row right now. It's just frustrating stuff when it comes to that. Super unlucky, but hey, we'll get over it. At least I'm going to get my money back, $2 extra for tonight. Ben Simmons was just very disappointing. I think I'm done rostering him until he's like 4,000 because he did not play in the fourth quarter. He got benched. Wendell, solid. Expecting a little bit more there in that matchup. Van Fleet was fantastic, even though he did not shoot the ball well. He still was able to easily get there at 65 fantasy points. PJ, that game blew out, so he did just lost some usage. And then CJ lost a lot of run there in the fourth quarter and at the end of the third because the game was like a 40-point blowout. So, going to get my money back, so I can't really complain about that. But yeah, let's continue it into tonight. Make sure to check out my Twitter at HeartDFS to stay updated for the injury news and the core play updates. As you can see from yesterday, this is the normal slate play breakdowns I do where I go over my core plays. The slates, key injury news, slate thoughts, my pay-ups, the building blocks, kind of who to attack and all that good stuff. I expect that for tomorrow and to continue for the rest of the NBA season. I'll do it for the NFL playoffs as well. But this was for tonight. Didn't have much time, but still get my core four. So yeah, cores have been pretty solid the past month here for the NBA. So let's look to continue it into this 4-game slate. Once again, going to go over my favorite spin-up plays, mid-range options, and value plays. So if you could hit that like button, do greatly appreciate it. And yeah, let's get into this breakdown and build a lineup for you guys. So starting with Memphis and Orlando. Memphis played tonight, Orlando played tonight, so maybe it might be a bad game, who knows, but we got Ja Morant, 10-4 in a fantastic matchup. Do like him a good amount. Him, Bane, and Jackson all look like very, very solid GPP plays. Bane and Jackson might be my favorites just because Bane, I think he played 30 minutes, if not more tonight. Don't quote me, it is back-to-back, so maybe they limit him. And Jaren Jackson, we don't know. But yeah, I think all three of them look great. Really prefer getting to Bane and Jackson just for the prices. But Ja, obviously we know what we're getting from him. He looks fantastic. In terms of Steven Adams, it's just super frustrating. He was 44% owned in that 15K tournament today. And he went off for 35 once again. So once 5,700, I don't mind him in this matchup. He is foul prone at times. There are times where he won't get the minutes. But yeah, I mean, he's been on a very solid streak, like 25 or more fantasy points. Pretty much every game, the past like 10 games, especially recently, he's been doing very well. So if you want to ride that streak, don't mind it. But yeah, it will just kind of come down to ownership. If he's going to be like 25% plus owned once again on this slate, not going to go to him because that's just a bad play at that point. The rest of the guys, Brandon Clark, if he's back, it does hurt Steven Adams' upside a little bit. He has been getting a little bit more run because there really hasn't been that backup that they could go to. Tyus Jones is there, Contar's there, Santi's there, as a value play. You could definitely look to Santi. Don't mind him. Should see you anywhere from like 12 to 20 minutes. But that's really it. It's just kind of the big three for me. That's really it. On to Orlando. Paulo. I think he finally had a good scoring game. Tonight, yeah, he had 47 fantasy points, went off for 25, 8 and 7. I think everyone is back for this game. Yeah, so Franz is back from the suspension. Wendell's there, Fultz is there. Suggs might be back for this game. So yeah, everyone's pretty much back for this game. So with that, not a lot of interest. I'd still prefer, Paulo, because he is kind of the main guy that they do go to. Expecting, at least 32-ish minutes from him. Franz, you would kind of expect the same thing. They don't play their starters a ton of minutes, kind of 32 to 36, depending on the game's going. I think those would be my favorite play. Maybe we get news that they rest Wendell just because of a back-to-back, and he's just came back from injury. But with all those kind of main guys back, not a lot of interest that really stands out for me. Fultz looks decent there at 6,300. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Cole Anthony, you can always take a shot on him. He does have the ceiling. Should play close to 30 minutes. Don't mind him, but yeah, no real standout plays for me unless we get news for that game there. Moving on to Boston and Dallas. Tatum, 10-9. Looks solid. I mean, we know what Tatum is going to do. Most likely get us 45 plus fantasy points per game. Is kind of like a floor, ceiling, close to 60, 70, depending on how he's shooting. So, looks like a very solid spend up. Same thing with Brown. If you want to go to him for a cheaper price tag, you can definitely do it. There are times where he's pretty scoring dependent, but they should both see close to 36, 37 minutes in a competitive game. So I do like both those guys a good amount. And I don't mind getting into the cheaper guys. I know they all had terrible games. Like Marcus Smart, of course, he got ejected, even though that was like a 40-point blowout to OKC without SGA. Made no sense, but yeah, he looks decent as a tournament option. I do like him a good amount. Same thing with Horford. I know he burned a lot of people that last game. But yeah, I mean, their whole team was terrible in that last game. So you can kind of throw that out the window. So I do like them for the price tags. Nice to see Brogdon get back to mid-20s minutes. He was pretty productive when he's out there. So I think, once again, those three are going to be my favorite there. Robert Williams is back, so maybe it does lower the floor a little bit on Al Horford. But I think my three favorite plays are going to be Smart, Brogdon, and Robert Williams. You can go to White and Grant Williams as like contrarian value options for this team, but really just like going to the three I mentioned, or paying up for one of the spend ups. For Dallas, Luka, I'm assuming he's going to be pretty popular, as it's a pretty small slate, and he's just putting up historic triple-double numbers recently. So 12-6 is expensive, especially in a 4-game slate, but I'm sure news will come out and we'll be able to pay up for him. So if you want to go that route, sure, don't mind it. I think there's enough other plays, pivot plays I'd want to go to. But yeah, Luka looks great. Christian Wood looks fantastic once again. He's been starting. Minutes have kind of been a little bit of a question mark, 21, 29, 29. He's very foul prone. The matchup versus Celtics is not the best. But yeah, I mean, he's huge ceiling. 48, 40, 40, 40, 62 before that. So he's been very consistent recently, even in a limited amount of minutes. So if he saw mid-30s, should easily be able to smash. So I do like him a good amount. I do like Dinwiddie here at 6,200. He's more of like a contrarian play. People are not going to go out of their way to roster him, but he's playing huge minutes, close to 40 minutes a game. He's productive at times, but he also does have a floor. So I think he makes for the perfect GPP play. He is a little bit too pricey there at that price point at 6,200, but I don't mind taking a shot on him, especially if he's going to be pretty low owned at 6,200, because he does have a decent ceiling. Hardaway Jr., more scoring dependent. I mean, he's playing huge minutes as well, so you can definitely go to him. I'd say he's a little bit safer than Dinwiddie, but yeah. Do have a good amount of interest in these top four. The rest of the team, don't really think you need to go there. They're not playing these guys a ton of minutes. Bullock, I guess they're playing Bullock a good amount. You could take a shot on him. I don't love it. Powell should see about 15-ish minutes. You can go to him, sure. Same thing with Bertans, seeing about 5 to 10. Frank's in the rotation. They're giving him about 15 minutes. He's terrible, but I mean, you can take a dart throw. I don't think there's a need to go to any of these like extremely cheap guys. I just rather get to the kind of the main four. That's really it. Maybe they'll play Kemba. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes, but I don't think you need to go there. It's really just the top four for me. So right now, I do think I'm going to throw in Dinwiddie. I'm going to go back to Boston and throw in Brogdon. I'm just going to throw in Smart for now and kind of build the lineup that way. Moving on to Utah and Houston. Looking like the best game environment here. Just two teams that are not good at defense, so they do give up a ton of points, so it should be pretty fast-paced. So I like Laurie, but I don't love the price tag. So, he's been good recently, especially scoring the ball. pretty much 30 points per game the past 5-6 games. So if you want to go there, don't mind it. He'll be a contrarian spin up option at that price tag because it will scare a lot of people off. Clarkson, I think he looks the best here at 7,300. I still think he's a little bit too overpriced, but you can't really argue with the minutes there. I mean, he's kind of scoring dependent at times, but he's been pretty solid recently as well. So, we know that those two are going to lead the team in terms of, can't even talk. We know those two are going to lead the team in terms of minutes and output. So I like those two. Conley's price is coming up because he has been playing better recently. You can still go to him, but I prefer just paying up for one of the main two guys. Kelly Olynyk, always worth a look in GPPs. The minutes have been okay, 29, 33, 28. Not going to shoot about a ton, but he can still get you there in that amount of time. So always worth a mention. Same thing with Vanderbilt. I mean, one of them will have a big game every few games. So you can go to either one of them. I don't think there's a need unless you fall on them. You could always get to Kessler, who is pretty productive. Minutes haven't been there recently, only 21, 20, 24. Did see 30, but then 17. So he's risky when it comes to minutes, but he's usually pretty productive when he's out there. So you can definitely get to him. Beasley, always worth a tournament look. Just really kind of has to hit his shots. Alexander saw the backup point guard run because Sexton's been out. Rudy Gay should see about 12 to 15 minutes. It's really kind of just the main two for me, and that's it. Moving on to Houston. Do like KPJ and Green a decent amount in this matchup. KPJ's been playing huge minutes. Only saw 31 tonight because of the blowout, but before that, 42, 35, 34, 35, 39. So he's a guy who's been playing a ton of minutes. He's actually been pretty productive the past week or so. So I do like him a good amount here against Utah. Same thing with Jalen Green. Don't mind playing both of them, stacking them both together. They do have upside, even playing together. So I like both of them here. Sengun looks like a decent option there. Do like the price tag on Jabari Smith. 39 fancy points. I mentioned it. He's, if he can hit his threes or if he can, get those rebounds, he does have a pretty solid ceiling. He was in that mock lineup I did for tonight's games. So, he's a pretty solid play there at 4,800. Don't mind him. You can get to these value plays like an Eason if you want, a Eric Gordon, a KJ Martin. But they do kind of seem a little bit forced. And then on to the next game. I'm going to throw in, where'd he go? Smith real fast. And then on to the last game, Clippers and Denver. Paul George is questionable with a hamstring. He'll travel, but he might not play. If he's out, really like Kawhi here at 8,100. The minutes have been great on Kawhi. Missed that last game with the illness. He's not on the injury report for tomorrow's games, but I'll be uploading this in the morning. So, yeah, I mean, the minutes have been great, 34, 35, 37, 35. Even, if Paul George is out, he should shoot close to 20 times. He's been great at rebounds and assists. So, normal, Kawhi's almost back. I'd say another month or so until we get the average, 45 fantasy points per game from Kawhi. But, 8,100 with potentially no Paul George. Really like that. If Paul George is back, I still like Kawhi a good amount. Powell, you can always get to him, but don't love the matchup. I was thinking of Zubac. Powell looks decent. If Paul George is out, they're going to need a secondary score, so you can look to him. Zubac should play the minutes. It's just, if he's in foul trouble or not. I think he'll be a contrarian play just because people are not going to want to play him going against Jokic, but he's definitely there at a pretty solid price tag, 4,900. Morris, you can look to him. If Paul George is out, he's been decent. Not going to go out there and take down, go out there and get 35, 40 fantasy points, but maybe close to 25 to 30s. But, wouldn't mind that from him. Reggie Jackson should be, pick up the slack. John Wall is pretty cheap here, 4,400. Minutes haven't been great recently. But if there's no Paul George, do expect John Wall to get close to mid-20s minutes, just more for his playmaking. So I don't mind taking a shot on him there at that price tag if there's no Paul George. And then Batum is going to be out with that ankle. So then maybe we'll get Covington off the bench. They'll play, Terrence Mann some minutes. Luke Kennard's going to come off the bench. So not a ton of value that looks great right now for any of these teams. Obviously, we'll get news, open up. But yeah, not looking great. And then in terms of Denver, Jokic looks fantastic. I think I'd rather go to him over Luka, even though I guess Luka is a little bit safer in terms of his fantasy output. But yeah, Jokic looks fantastic. Looks fantastic. Can we fit him? We can fit him in this lineup. Jamal Murray, I like him a good amount as well. I do think you can play both him and Jokic in the same lineup. Aaron Gordon with Evan back, he's more of a contrarian play. Sure, he's had 2 great games together. Past 3 out of 4, he's had 40 more fantasy points. He has those type of games, but you're not getting him in a great price tag, 6,900. Kawhi will most likely be on him, so don't love that matchup there for Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr., kind of too score independent for me, that price tag. Bones, will come off the bench. The minutes have been great, even though he's been pretty solid in those minutes. I think you're chasing him a little bit there at that price tag. With everyone back, Bruce Brown looks okay. Should see mid-20s minutes. KCP should see mid-20s as well, maybe close to 30, but he's pretty score independent. So yeah, not a lot of interest in the Denver side besides kind of, Jokic, Jamal Murray, and maybe taking a shot on Aaron Gordon. That's really it. But to finish off this lineup, or before I do, hit that like button, as I do greatly appreciate it. But yeah, only left with 3,900 left over at the forward spot. Let's see who we can get here in this lineup. We can go to John Ross with more guys back. His minutes should probably bump back down. We can go to Asante. I don't mind that, especially if the game blows out for some reason. He should get some more run. So I think for right now, I'll just throw in Asante and yeah, just kind of go from there. So yeah, once again, hit that like button. Follow me on Twitter. Follow my free Patreon link down below for updates to the core, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.